Texans, we've heard you loud and clear. After last February, which a lot of us remember vividly, there are questions about the Texas power grid and how it's expected to hold up in this upcoming winter blast. So I chatted with University of Houston Energy Fellow and KHU 11 Energy Analyst Ed Hers about what we can expect. Well, Ed, I want to start with a change in tone from the governor. Back in November, he made a vow that the lights will stay on. Yesterday, he kind of dialed that back and said, no one can guarantee that things will work. What did you take away from that?
I think he's realized that, for all the bravado, there's a lot of work yet to be done. More than 20% of the generating companies reported that their units were not going to be winterized. They did this under a good cause exception, which was allowed by the PUC and ERCOT. Second, you really just can't fix 10 years of decay in the space of 12 months. That just doesn't happen. Third, we don't have enough generation capacity that we can switch on. Utility speak for this is called dispatchable power. So natural gas generators, coal-fired generators, nuclear plants, those will make up about 90% of what's required for this coming cold front. But the reliance, of course, is on wind to finish that up, about 10,000 megawatts. The challenge with that is there's been no way to weatherize those turbine blades. We can't put de-icers on those like they have up in Wyoming or Colorado or the very cold states. They weren't built that way, but we need de-icing for those blades. If this cold front brings an ice storm, then we could wind up short.
Well, that was actually one of my questions a little bit later was going to be about those turbines. How much of an impact is that really? And are the wind turbines factored into winter power grid plans?
Yes, they are. And in fact, in some winters, the wind turbine fleet has provided all of the days like electricity. And Texas has the largest wind fleet in the United States and one of the largest in the world. So it's a big component. Everybody knew that bringing wind to the grid might bring some bit of destabilized intermittency power. But keep in mind, everybody who admitted the wind turbines to the grid and did not plan for this, these were appointees of the governor. Appointees of Rick Perry or appointees of Governor Abbott. And so this is not really something you can point to Washington and complain about. This is a lack of foresight on the management of the grid here in Texas. Other grids, such as Bonneville Power, planned ahead, saw what was coming on, and began to charge the renewable generation resources a commitment fee, 10 years ago, as they began to transition from legacy generation assets. And Texas has just been really, really slow to learn from the rest of the country.
So we know going in that there's some instability with them, but they're not a huge percentage of providers for the Texas, or generators, I should say, for the Texas power grid.
Well, that's right. And so we're looking at wind topping off at between 10 and 15% of the requirements. And there's much more nameplate capacity, if you will. So if a wind turbine is supposed to have a nameplate capacity of 100 megawatts, we really only plan on, say, 17 megawatts being there at any one time or another, just because of the vagaries of wind and across the state. Why that's important, though, is because if you wind up just a few megawatts short of maximum demand, then the grid will begin to destabilize. And we'll have to go to a situation where we do what euphemistically is called load shedding, which the rest of us know as rotating blackouts. That's when ERCOT deliberately shuts down your power to save somebody else.
And it seems like that was something Governor Abbott said he couldn't guarantee against in this upcoming cold snap.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we've been 6 weeks since he promised that he would guarantee that the lights would stay on, and now we're in the situation where he says, I can't guarantee that anymore. There may be blackouts.
So
And
let's talk about that, because the big concern is up in North Texas. That's where, along with the cold temperatures, they're going to get precipitation. Could that kind of weather in North Texas have an impact on other folks on the Texas power grid, like say here in Southeast Texas?
it's possible, but unlikely. So in 2011, the failure that we were supposed to have learned from in 2011 was primarily confined to the North Texas region. And ERCOT instituted blackouts that included, for example, the medical center in Dallas. That was just devastating. We're not totally interconnected with North Texas, but we could be sending electricity if we have extra capacity up to North Texas because of the way the grid's connected within ERCOT. But it shouldn't have a serious impact on our nodes down here.
What if, when we get the sub-freezing temperatures, folks pump the heater and put more of a strain down here? Then do you have any concerns about that situation?
Well, yes, absolutely. That's what happened last year. We all dialed up the heat. We tried to stay warm, and we overstrained the system. The system was not able to respond. Keep in mind that 81% of the electricity generators failed, even during what were supposed to be normal operating conditions, normal operating temperatures. And then once they failed, there was a cascading impact, not only with other generating units on the grid, but with the natural gas supplies. And so that kind of led us into a downward spiral that it took us many days to recover from.
That does it for all of my questions. Was there anything else you wanted folks to know as we head into this cold snap?
Well, as I told Adam, and I don't know if he's going to get it on, the only one sweating out this cold snap is going to be the governor.
You heard Ed mention Adam. That's Adam Bennett, a reporter with whom Ed spoke earlier. You can find his report coming up on KHU 11 News at 4, 5, and 6. Of course, you can always find it online as well at khui.com.